The system notification materialized in Jin-woo's vision with its familiar blue glow, cutting through the darkness of his Seoul apartment at 3 a.m. Emergency quest detected. High-level interdimensional gate has appeared. Threat level unknown. Failure to respond may result in dimensional collapse. Accept quest YN. Jin-woo sat up from his bed, gray eyes reflecting the interface's light. Unknown threat level. The system hadn't displayed that classification since before he'd become the Shadow Monarch. Every dungeon, every gate, every monarch, all had been assessed, quantified, defeated. But this, his instincts, honed through countless life or death battles, screamed that something fundamental had shifted. He pressed yes. The gate manifested in the Han River, visible to no one but him, a swirling vortex of energy that seemed to tear reality itself. Not the familiar crimson of dungeons he'd conquered, but something darker. Purple lightning crackled around its edges, and through the distortion, Jin-woo glimpsed stone architecture that belonged to no era he recognized. Medieval, perhaps, but wrong. The air around the gate smelled of blood and burning incense. "Baru!" Jin-woo called, and his most powerful shadow materialized beside him. The Ant King's chitinous form bowed low. "My king senses danger?" "Unknown enemy type, unknown power level." Jin-woo checked his inventory, ensuring his daggers were accessible. "We go in prepared for anything." "Keek." "Then Baru shall feast on their—" "Not yet. We observe first." Jin-woo stepped toward the gate. "Arise." From his shadow, hundreds of soldiers materialized. Elite knights, mages, warriors who'd earned their immortality through death and resurrection. They formed ranks behind him without sound, purple eyes glowing in the darkness. This wasn't even a fraction of his army. If this truly was an S-rank threat, he'd summon millions. But for reconnaissance, hundreds would suffice. Jin-woo crossed the threshold. Reality twisted. The system interface flickered, static running through its display before stabilizing. Jin-woo's eyes narrowed. That had never happened before. For a moment, he'd felt the connection to his shadows waver, then strengthen, but different. Changed. Dimensional transfer complete. Warning, realm physics altered. Analyzing new environment. Location, unknown dimension, outworld. Dungeon type, classified as Mortal Kombat. His feet touched stone. Torches blazed in sconces along walls carved with grotesque faces locked in eternal screams. The architecture was definitely medieval, but no civilization on Earth built like this. Too brutal, too deliberately intimidating. Statues of warriors in various death poses lined a long corridor. Blood stained the stones, fresh enough that Jin-woo could smell the iron. Then the system updated, and Jin-woo's expression hardened. Entity detected. Name, Shang Tsung. Level, threat assessment, extreme. Entity detected. Name, Liu Kang. Level, threat assessment, extreme. Entity detected. Name, Raiden. Level, threat assessment, divine class. The list kept scrolling. Dozens of names, most with threat levels the system couldn't properly quantify. Jin-woo had only seen that happen once before, when he'd faced the monarchs themselves. His hand moved to his dagger hilts. "Interesting," he murmured. "Not a dungeon, a tournament." Thunder cracked overhead despite the stone ceiling above him. The air pressure changed, electricity making the hair on his arms stand up. Jin-woo's shadows tensed, ready to defend, as white light materialized 10 meters ahead. The figure that appeared wore a conical hat and white robes that sparked with residual lightning. His eyes glowed pure white, and the power radiating from him made Jin-woo's own monarch authority stir in response. This wasn't human. This was divine. Raiden, Thunder God, protector of Earthrealm. Level. Identify yourself, warrior. Raiden's voice carried the rumble of distant storms. His gaze swept across Jin-woo's shadow army, and his expression darkened. Your power. It resembles Netherrealm's corruption. Yet you are not a revenant. What manner of being enters my domain with an army of the dead? Jin-woo met the god's glowing eyes without flinching. He'd killed beings who called themselves gods. He'd become something beyond mortality himself. Respect was earned through strength, and this Raiden radiated genuine power. Sung Jin-woo, he replied, Shadow Monarch. And these aren't the dead, they're my soldiers. He gestured to his army. The system directed me here. Emergency quest. If this is your territory, then explain what threat exists that requires a monarch's intervention. Raiden's eyes widened slightly. The system. Monarch. Lightning crackled more intensely around his hands. I know not what manner of sorcery speaks to you, warrior. But your timing is concerning. The realms are in upheaval. Fire god Liu Kang reshapes reality itself following Kronika's defeat, and the barriers between dimensions weaken. Your arrival may be symptom or cause. Another figure appeared, this time in flames that coalesced into human form. Younger than Raiden, wearing simple monk's clothing, but the power emanating from him made Jin-woo's danger sense spike even higher. The system updated instantly. Liu Kang, Fire God, Keeper of Time. Level beyond assessment. Warning, reality manipulation detected. Raiden speaks truth, stranger. Liu Kang's voice was calmer, but no less authoritative. His eyes, glowing with golden fire, studied Jin-woo with the intensity of someone who had seen countless timelines. Your power signature tore through dimensional barriers I had carefully reconstructed. You command death itself, yet you are not of Netherrealm. You are not of any realm I wove into this new era. His expression became grave. Which means you're from beyond my influence. A variable I did not account for. Jin-woo processed this rapidly. A being who claimed to control time itself, who'd reconstructed reality, and he'd punched through that construction just by accepting a quest. The implications were staggering, but also familiar. The monarchs had waged war across dimensions. Perhaps he'd simply found another battlefield. I'm not here for conquest, Jin-woo said carefully. The system classified this location as a threat requiring elimination. If your realm is stable, I'll investigate, complete my objective, and leave. The system. A third voice, dripping with malice and curiosity, echoed through the chamber. Green energy swirled, and a figure materialized between Jin-woo and the two gods. Ancient, wearing ornate robes, with eyes that gleamed with predatory intelligence. The man smiled, revealing perfect teeth that somehow promised violence. Shang Tsung, sorcerer. Soul collector. Level. Warning, necromancy detected. Warning, dimensional magic detected. Fascinating, Shang Tsung purred, his gaze locked on Jin-woo's shadow army. Another who commands the dead. But your technique, it's not Quan Chi's crude necromancy, not Netherrealm's corruption, something purer, more absolute. His smile widened. Your soul must be exquisite. And your power? I must have it. I will have it. Jin-woo's shadow surged forward instinctively, responding to the threat. Igris and Beru flanked him, weapons drawn. The temperature in the chamber dropped as hundreds of purple eyes fixed on the sorcerer. But Raiden's lightning blazed between them, creating a barrier. Stay your hand, both of you. This is neutral ground. Shang Tsung, you dare threaten a warrior before the tournament even begins. Threaten? Shang Tsung laughed. I merely admire. Such power deserves to participate in Mortal Kombat, does it not? Let this Shadow Monarch prove his worth in the arena. Let him face our champions. The sorcerer's eyes glittered with schemes already forming. Unless, of course, he fears sacred combat. Jin-woo's expression remained neutral, but internally, he was recalculating. Tournament, sacred combat. These weren't mindless monsters. They were warriors with rules, honor codes, political factions. This wasn't a dungeon to clear. This was something far more complex. The system updated again, and Jin-woo's eyes narrowed as he read the new quest parameters. Quest updated. Mortal Kombat. Objective: participate in interdimensional tournament. Unknown victory conditions. Unknown failure consequences. Reward: accept challenge. YN. Liu Kang stepped forward, flames wreathing his form. Sung Jin-woo, you stand at a crossroads that will determine the fate of realms. Mortal Kombat is not merely a tournament. It is the cosmic law that prevents endless war between dimensions. 10 consecutive victories allow realm merger. Participation binds you to its rules. His expression was unreadable. Choose wisely, for once you enter the combat, there is no retreat. Only victory or death. Jin-woo looked at the fire god, then at Raiden's concerned expression, then at Shang Tsung's predatory smile. Behind him, his shadow army waited for his command, ready to tear through anyone who threatened their king. But something about this felt right. The system had never led him astray. If this tournament was the threat or the solution, then he'd face it as he'd faced everything else, by standing at the top. I accept, Jin-woo said, and pressed yes on the system interface. Thunder and fire erupted simultaneously as the realm itself seemed to acknowledge his words. Somewhere in the distance, a gong rang 3 times. Shang Tsung's smile became a grin. Excellent. Welcome, Shadow Monarch, to Mortal Kombat. I do hope you survive long enough to make the tournament. Interesting. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. Finish him. The sorcerer vanished in green flame, and Raiden turned to Jin-woo with grave concern. You have bound yourself to forces you do not understand, warrior. Pray that you are as powerful as your army suggests, for in Mortal Kombat, there is only one rule that matters. The Thunder God's eyes blazed white. Fight well or die trying. Jin-woo's hand rested on his dagger hilts, purple energy swirling around his form. He'd heard that before. Jin-woo's shadows dispersed at his mental command, melting back into his own shadow until only Igris and Beru remained visible. Enough to demonstrate power without appearing overtly hostile. The massive throne room Raiden had transported them to resembled a war council chamber more than a tournament venue. Stone pillars carved with battle scenes rose toward a vaulted ceiling, and through open archways, Jin-woo glimpsed an island landscape, rocky shores, twisted trees, and structures that seemed designed to intimidate rather than shelter. Liu Kang stood at the room's center, flames dancing across his shoulders without consuming his clothing. The fire god's expression remained contemplative as he studied Jin-woo with eyes that had witnessed countless timelines. The system you speak of, Liu Kang began, his voice measured. It guides your actions, provides objectives and rewards. Since I became a hunter, yes. Jin-woo saw no reason to hide the truth from a being who claimed to manipulate reality. It's how I've survived, how I've grown stronger. It directed me here. Curious. Liu Kang's gaze became distant, as if seeing through dimensions Jin-woo couldn't perceive. In all the timelines I've woven, across all the realities I've shaped, I've encountered no such system, which means it operates beyond even my authority as keeper of time. He focused on Jin-woo again. That makes you dangerous, a variable outside causality itself. Raiden moved to stand beside Liu Kang, lightning still crackling around his form. Your shadow army, Jin-woo, when you command the dead, do their souls belong to you? They're not souls. Jin-woo gestured, and from his shadow rose a warrior he'd extracted weeks ago, a high orc chieftain, purple eyes glowing with loyalty. They're shadows, imprints of those I've defeated, bound to serve eternally. Their original souls moved on. What remains is absolute obedience to the Shadow Monarch. Imprints without souls. Raiden's expression darkened. Yet they possess combat intelligence, tactical awareness. They are not mere puppets. They're soldiers, Jin-woo corrected. The strongest serve as commanders. Baru, Igris, Iron. They retain personality, memory, growth potential. But their will is mine. Baru chittered proudly. Kiik, Baru is honored to serve my king. These gods fear our power. Baru, quiet. The Ant King subsided immediately, demonstrating the absolute nature of Jin-woo's control. Liu Kang and Raiden exchanged glances, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, the Fire God spoke. What you describe is similar to, but fundamentally different from, Netherrealm's revenant creation. Quan Chi binds souls to corrupted bodies, creating undead slaves. But the soul remains trapped, aware, suffering. Your method is... He paused, searching for words. Cleaner, more absolute, and therefore more terrifying to those who traffic in death. Quan Chi? Jin-woo filed the name away. The system had flagged it earlier. Netherrealm's master sorcerer, Raiden explained, his tone grim. A demon who has plagued the realms for centuries. He will take great interest in you, Shadow Monarch, as will every faction that seeks to tip the balance of power. The Thunder God's expression became stern. You must understand. Mortal combat exists because the Elder Gods decreed that realms may only be conquered through tournament victory. 10 consecutive wins allow the victor's realm to merge with the defeated realm. It prevents endless interdimensional war. Jin-woo processed this. So every fighter here represents their home dimension? Precisely. Earthrealm, your world's equivalent in this universe, has defenders like Liu Kang and myself. Outworld, the conquering realm, fields warriors under Shao Kahn's banner. Netherrealm sends its revenants and demons. Other realms send champions as politics dictate. Raiden's eyes glowed brighter. And now you arrive, representing... What? Your system, your own realm? You are an unknown factor in a cosmic balance that has existed for millennia. The system interface appeared in Jin-woo's vision, updating with new information. Scanning combat participants. Earthrealm champions detected. Liu Kang, level. Kung Lao, level 89. Johnny Cage, level 76. Sonya Blade, level 74. Outworld warriors detected. Shao Kahn level. Kitana, level 82. Baraka, level 78. Ermac, level 91. Netherrealm forces detected. Quan Chi, level. Scorpion, level 94. Noob Saibot, level 87. The list continued. Dozens of names with power levels that would classify as S rank or higher in Jin-woo's original world. His danger sense hummed constantly. This island was saturated with individuals capable of killing him if he made mistakes. Your eyes, Liu Kang observed. You're assessing us. measuring our strength. Jin-woo nodded slowly. The system provides threat analysis. Most of the combatants here register as extreme danger. Some of you, he looked directly at Liu Kang. The system can't even quantify your power level. Because I exist outside conventional measurement, Liu Kang acknowledged. As do the Elder Gods, as does Kronika, though she is defeated. As it seems, does your Shadow Monarch authority. The Fire God's expression softened slightly. I do not sense evil in you, Jin-woo. Merely pragmatism. You fight to survive, to protect what you value. That is honorable. But Mortal Kombat will test more than your strength. Before Jin-woo could respond, the chamber's temperature plummeted. Frost formed on stone surfaces, and from the shadows emerged a figure in blue and black armor, his eyes glowing ice blue. The newcomer moved with predatory grace, a grandmaster's confidence in every step. Sub-Zero, Kuai Liang. Lin Kuei Grandmaster. Level 85. Cryomancy detected. Raiden, Liu Kang. Sub-Zero's voice was calm, controlled. I sensed a disturbance in the realm barriers. This is the source? His gaze, fixed on Jin-woo, analytical and measuring. A stranger who commands shadows and travels dimensions. The Lin Kuei have encountered many threats, but you... Ice began forming around his hands. You feel different, older, like death itself walks beside you. Stand down, Sub-Zero, Raiden commanded. He has accepted the tournament invitation. He is under protection of sacred law until the combat begins. Has he? Sub-Zero's eyes narrowed. Or has he invaded during the realm's weakness? My clan exists to protect Earth Realm from such threats. Jin-woo's shadows stirred, responding to the implicit challenge. Igris's hand moved to his sword hilt, but Jin-woo raised a hand, stopping his commander. I'm not here to invade, Jin-woo said evenly. But I don't back down from threats either. If you want to test me, wait for the tournament. I'll face you in the arena. Sub-Zero's expression remained neutral, but something like respect flickered in his eyes. You speak like a warrior, not a sorcerer. Good. Sorcerers bring nothing but treachery. He glanced at Raiden. Very well. I will watch this Shadow Monarch. If he proves honorable, the Lin Kuei will judge him fairly. If he serves Netherrealm or plots against Earthrealm, ice spread across the floor. We will end him, tournament rules or not. The cryomancer vanished in a swirl of freezing mist, leaving only frost patterns on the stone. Liu Kang sighed. Sub-Zero has endured much betrayal. His suspicion is earned through bitter experience. Do not take offense. I don't. Jin-woo had faced enough prejudice as the weakest hunter, then fear as the strongest. Suspicion was expected when you wielded power others didn't understand. But he's right to be cautious. In my world, power like mine is usually a threat. And in this world, Raiden said gravely, power is currency. Every faction will seek to recruit you, control you, or eliminate you. Shang Tsung will attempt to steal your abilities. Quan Chi will try to bind you to Netherrealm. Shao Kahn will demand your service or your head. Lightning crackled more intensely. And those are merely the obvious threats. The tournament attracts schemers, assassins, and those who see combat as opportunity rather than honor. Jin-woo's hand rested on his dagger hilts. Then they'll learn the same lesson every enemy I've faced has learned. I don't lose. Confidence is necessary for survival, Liu Kang acknowledged. But arrogance is fatal. The warriors you will face have killed gods, conquered realms, died, and returned from death itself. Scorpion burns with hellfire and has claimed vengeance across dimensions. Raiden himself has sacrificed and fought for millennia. Even mortals like Johnny Cage possess ancient power that can harm beings like Shinnok. The system chimed, and Jin-woo felt information downloading directly into his consciousness. Tournament rules, realm hierarchies, faction relationships. His analytical mind absorbed it all rapidly, already formulating strategies. Tournament rules downloaded. Sacred combat one-on-one matches. Army support prohibited during official bouts. Victory conditions: death, surrender, or incapacitation. Winner chooses fatality or mercy. Jin-woo's eyes narrowed at one rule in particular. Army support prohibited. My shadows are part of my combat style. During official tournament matches, yes. Raiden confirmed. Mortal Kombat tests the individual warrior's skill, strength, and will. To allow armies would defeat the purpose. It would simply become a war of numbers. However, he added, your personal abilities are unrestricted. Your shadow manipulation, your monarch authorities, your own combat prowess, all permitted. Only summoning your legion during sanctioned single combat is forbidden. Strategic shadow use is acceptable, Liu Kang clarified. Creating weapons from shadows, teleporting between them, even summoning one or two shadows as combat techniques. These fall within the bounds of personal ability. But fielding hundreds of soldiers violates the sacred law. Jin-woo nodded slowly. A limitation, but not crippling. He'd fought and defeated the monarchs primarily through personal skill, using his army for tactical support. If Mortal Kombat demanded he prove individual worth, so be it. He'd done that before. One more thing, Raiden said, his expression becoming especially grave. The finish him moment. Finish him? When you defeat an opponent, when they lie broken at your feet, a voice will call out, finish him or finish her. That is your choice point. You may perform a fatality, a brutal execution that demonstrates your dominance and ends your opponent permanently. Or you may show mercy, allowing them to live. The Thunder God's eyes blazed. This choice defines warriors in Mortal Kombat. Mercy shows honor, but may be seen as weakness. Fatality shows power, but marks you as ruthless. Choose poorly, and you make enemies. Choose wisely, and you earn respect. Jin-woo considered this. In dungeons, he'd always extracted shadows from worthy opponents. But these weren't monsters. They were sentient beings with factions, families, purposes. Could he extract a shadow from someone like Sub-Zero and call it mercy? Would that even work in this dimension? If I extract their shadow, Jin-woo asked carefully, does that count as death or mercy? Both gods went very still. That, Liu Kang said slowly, is a question no one has ever had to ask before, and one that will define how every realm perceives you. The chamber's doors burst open, and a figure in yellow and black armor entered. A ninja with a kunai spear attached to a chain, his eyes burning with literal fire beneath his mask. Scorpion, Hanzo Hasashi, Spectre of Netherrealm. Level 94. Hellfire manipulation detected. Warning, undead classification, shadow extraction may conflict. I heard there was a necromancer on the island, Scorpion growled, his voice carrying the crackle of flames. One. Who commands the dead? Are you another of Quan Chi's pawns, come to mock the Shirai Ryu? Jin-woo met the specter's burning gaze without flinching. I serve no one but myself. My shadows obey because I defeated them, not because I enslaved their souls. Scorpion's head tilted, studying Jin-woo with the intensity of a predator evaluating prey or a rival. You claim to conquer death itself? Interesting. His hand moved to the kunai at his side. "We shall see if your shadows burn, necromancer. We shall see if you understand what true death means. For I have died, returned, and walked through hell itself." "Scorpion," Raiden warned. "He is under tournament protection. Then I will face him in the arena." Scorpion's eyes never left Jin-woo. "And we will learn whether the Shadow Monarch is warrior or pretender." The specter vanished in a pillar of hellfire, leaving only scorch marks on ancient stone. Jin-woo's expression remained calm, but internally, his combat instincts sang. These weren't dungeon bosses to be cataloged and defeated. These were warriors with pride, honor codes, and powers that genuinely threatened him. This was going to be interesting. The feast hall Shang Tsung had prepared for the tournament participants resembled a warlord's victory celebration more than a pre-competition gathering. Long tables overflowed with food from a dozen realms, some recognizable, others disturbingly alien. Warriors from every dimension mingled, sized each other up, formed temporary alliances, or renewed ancient grudges. The air thrummed with barely contained violence, every conversation a potential spark for conflict. Jin-woo stood near the hall's periphery, observing. The system continued its analysis, flagging threats and cataloging combat styles as fighters demonstrated casual displays of power. A four-armed giant, Shiva, according to the system, crushed stone in her grip while speaking with a woman whose fans seemed to float on wind itself. In another corner, a figure composed entirely of souls argued philosophy with a blind swordsman whose blade hummed with telekinetic energy. "First tournament, Shadow Monarch?" The voice came from Jin-woo's left, casual and almost playful. He turned to find a man in expensive sunglasses and an open shirt revealing a toned physique. The newcomer radiated Hollywood confidence, but the system's assessment made Jin-woo's eyes narrow. Johnny Cage, Hollywood actor. Level 76. Ancient Mediterranean power detected. Warning, divine heritage, green energy signature. Johnny Cage. The actor extended his hand with a practiced smile. Action star, Earth Realm Defender, Father of the Year, allegedly. And you're the mysterious Shadow Monarch everyone's buzzing about. Gotta say, the whole undead army thing. Very metal. Very marketable. Ever considered letting me option your life story? Jin-woo stared at the offered hand for a moment before shaking it. The grip was firm, confident, but not aggressive. Sung Jin-woo. And no, I'm not interested in publicity. Your loss could have been huge. Shadow Monarch, Rise of the Dead has blockbuster written all over it. Johnny's grin remained, but his eyes, sharp despite the sunglasses, assessed Jin-woo carefully. Fair warning, Shang Tsung's already plotting how to steal your powers. That soul-sucking bastard collects abilities like I collect classic cars. He'll come at you with tricks, deals, and when those fail, overwhelming force. Let him try. Jin-woo's tone carried no bravado, just statement of fact. Johnny's grin widened. Oh, I like you. Most newcomers either piss themselves or start flexing immediately. You? Cool as ice, almost sub-zero levels of chill. He gestured toward the feast tables. Come on, I'll introduce you to the Earthrealm crew. Better to have allies before the blood starts flowing. Trust me. Survived enough tournaments to know that friends keep you alive longer than raw power. Before Jin-woo could respond, Beru materialized from his shadow, chittering excitedly. My king, this human smells of ancient power. Not god, not demon, but something older. Beru wants to taste. Beru, no eating. Potential allies. Oh, but my king? No. Johnny stared at the massive ant creature, then back at Jin-woo. Okay, that's nightmare fuel. Does it always sound that enthusiastic about eating people? Usually. Jin-woo gestured, then Beru subsided back into his shadow with disappointed clicks. He's protective. And terrifying. Perfect combination. Johnny led Jin-woo toward a group clustered around one of the tables. Earthrealm's champions, judging by their body language and the way they watched other fighters with tactical assessment rather than hostile intent. Sonya Blade noticed them first. The Special Forces commander's hand moved instinctively toward her sidearm before recognizing Johnny. "Cage, who's your new friend?" "Everyone, meet Sung Jin-woo, the Shadow Monarch." "Jin-woo, this is Sonya Blade, Special Forces badass and my ex-wife." "We were married for 3 years," Sonya said dryly. "It's been 10 years since the divorce. And I've cherished every moment of your absence." Johnny's grin remained infuriatingly cheerful. "That's Jax Briggs, Sonya's long-suffering second-in-command and proud owner of the realm's most impressive cybernetic arms." The massive man nodded, his metal arms gleaming under torchlight. "Heard you tore through dimensional barriers just by arriving. Impressive, concerning, but impressive." "Kung Lao," Johnny continued, pointing to a monk in a distinctive razor-rimmed hat. "Shaolin warrior, Liu Kang's best friend and constant rival, has a hat that can decapitate demons." Kung Lao's expression was serious, studying Jin-woo with martial artist's intensity. "Your stance is interesting. Not traditional, but efficient. You've fought many battles." "Thousands," Jin-woo confirmed. "And this lovely lady is Kitana, Princess of Outworld, current ruler, and one of the realm's few voices of reason." The woman with the steel fans inclined her head gracefully. Her beauty was obvious, but Jin-woo's danger sense pinged subtly. This was a trained assassin who'd lived 10,000 years. The system confirmed it. Kitana, Edenian Princess. Level 82. Assassin class. Wind manipulation detected. Shadow Monarch. Kitana's voice carried regal authority. "Raiden spoke of you, a being who commands death without serving Netherrealm. Curious. In my long life, I've encountered many necromancers. All served evil. You claim to be different?" "I don't serve evil," Jin-woo replied. "I serve myself. The shadows obey because I'm stronger, that's all." "Strength is the only authority?" Kitana's eyes narrowed slightly. "That philosophy sounds remarkably like Outworld's doctrine. Shao Kahn ruled through pure domination for millennia." "Then the difference is purpose." Jin-woo met her gaze steadily. "I fight to protect what's mine, not to conquer what's yours." Before Kitana could respond, the hall's temperature dropped precipitously. Conversations died as frost spread across the floor in intricate patterns. Sub-Zero materialized in the center of the room, ice swirling around his form. Behind him stood another figure in similar armor, but red instead of blue. A woman whose eyes held the zealotry of a true believer. Frost, Cryomancer. Level 71. Sub-Zero's apprentice. Warning: psychological instability detected. "Grandmaster," Frost said, her voice carrying across the silent hall. "You wanted confirmation. I've investigated. The Shadow Monarch's arrival coincided with a Netherrealm dimensional probe. Quan Chi is active." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jin-woo noticed warriors' hands moving toward weapons, stances shifting subtly into combat readiness. Sub-Zero's eyes found Jin-woo across the hall. "Shadow Monarch, it seems your presence has attracted Netherrealm's attention. Quan Chi does not investigate random events. He schemes, plots, seeks advantage." The Cryomancer began walking toward Jin-woo, ice forming stepping stones beneath his feet. So I asked directly, "Are you Netherrealm's pawn?" Jin-woo's shadow stirred, but he kept his expression neutral. I already answered that question. I serve no one. Words. Frost stepped forward aggressively. Necromancers always lie, always claim independence before betraying. Frost, stand down. Sub-Zero's command was absolute, and his apprentice obeyed immediately, despite obvious frustration. The Grandmaster stopped 3 meters from Jin-woo, close enough to strike if needed. I have fought Netherrealm for decades, lost my brother to their corruption, seen friends become revenants. So forgive my skepticism when a being wielding death magic appears exactly when Quan Chi probes our defenses. Coincidence? Jin-woo suggested. There are no coincidences in Mortal Kombat. Sub-Zero's hands began glowing with icy energy. Only schemes and counter-schemes. Prove your independence. Swear no allegiance to Quan Chi. I swear nothing to anyone. Jin-woo's tone hardened. Where I come from, oaths or chains. I've broken every chain that's tried to bind me. I won't start accepting new ones because you're paranoid. The hall went dead silent. Several warriors sucked in breaths. Apparently refusing Sub-Zero's demand was unexpected. Frost's hands blazed with ice. You dare. Then a slow, mocking clap echoed through the chamber. Every warrior tensed as green energy coalesced near the hall's entrance. Shang Tsung materialized, his ancient eyes gleaming with malicious amusement. How delightfully dramatic, the sorcerer purred. Sub-Zero accuses, the Shadow Monarch defies, and Quan Chi schemes in the shadows. It's almost like old times. He strode forward, warriors unconsciously giving him space. But you're all asking the wrong questions. Shang Tsung. Sonya's hand moved to her weapon. What game are you playing now? Game? My dear Commander Blade, I never play games. Shang Tsung's smile was predatory. I engage in carefully calculated maneuvers designed to increase my power. And Jin-woo here, he stopped directly in front of Jin-woo, studying him like a scientist examining a fascinating specimen. You represent the most significant opportunity I've encountered in centuries. Jin-woo's hand moved to his dagger hilts. I'm not interested in deals. Oh, but you haven't heard my offer. Shang Tsung's voice dropped, becoming almost seductive. Your shadow extraction technique. It's not soul magic, not necromancy, not anything I've encountered across 10,000 years of study. It's something purer, more fundamental. You don't enslave souls. You convert defeat itself into eternal loyalty. That's not magic, Jin-woo. That's a law of reality. The system chimed suddenly. Warning, analysis attempt detected. Shang Tsung, attempting to scan monarch abilities. Countermeasures engaged. Shang Tsung's eyes widened, then narrowed dangerously. Fascinating. Your power actively resists investigation. Whatever this system you command truly is, it's sophisticated beyond any magic I know. His smile returned, sharper. Which makes you invaluable. Join me, Jin-woo. Together, we could revolutionize death magic. I'll teach you soul theft, realm traversal, shape-shifting sorcery. In exchange, you teach me shadow extraction. We'd be unstoppable. No. No. Shang Tsung's expression barely changed, but the temperature rose noticeably. You refuse before hearing the full terms? I don't need a teacher. And I definitely don't need a partner who'll betray me the moment it's convenient. Jin-woo's gray eyes met the sorcerer's ancient gaze without flinching. In my world, I've faced beings who called themselves gods. Monarchs who ruled dimensions, hunters who'd kill their own families for power. You're not special, Shang Tsung. You're just another enemy pretending to be an ally. The hall erupted in shocked murmurs. Johnny whistled low. Okay, officially my favorite newcomer. Shang Tsung's smile vanished entirely. For a moment, his true age showed. Millennia of cruel experiences, countless betrayals given and received. Power accumulated through oceans of blood. How unfortunate. I had hoped you were intelligent enough to recognize opportunity. Instead, you're merely another arrogant warrior who thinks raw strength is sufficient. The sorcerer raised his hand, and the air around Jin-woo shimmered. Jin-woo felt something trying to analyze him, dissect him, understand the fundamental nature of his powers. The sensation was invasive, violating, like invisible fingers probing his soul. Hostile magic detected. Shang Tsung attempting soul analysis. Shadow Monarch authority resisting. Success, analysis failed. Purple energy exploded from Jin-woo's form, shattering Shang Tsung's spell. His shadows erupted fully. Igris, Baru, Iron, Tank, dozens of elite soldiers materializing in defensive formation. The system's interface blazed across Jin-woo's vision. Combat detected. Enemy, Shang Tsung. Recommendation, eliminate threat. But before violence could escalate, thunder cracked and fire blazed. Raiden and Liu Kang appeared between Jin-woo and Shang Tsung, divine power radiating from both. Enough! Raiden's voice carried the storm's fury. This is neutral ground. Tournament laws forbid combat between participants before the official matches. Shang Tsung lowered his hand slowly, his expression returning to its usual calculated neutrality. My apologies, Lord Raiden. I merely wish to understand our newest competitor's abilities. Scientific curiosity, nothing more. You attempted soul theft, Liu Kang said coldly. We all felt it. Violate sacred law again, Shang Tsung, and you'll answer to the elder gods directly. The sorcerer bowed mockingly. Of course, Fire God. I shall restrain my curiosity. He looked at Jin-woo one last time. We will face each other in the arena, Shadow Monarch. And there, without divine protection, I will discover your secrets one way or another. Your soul will be exquisite when I finally claim it. Shang Tsung vanished in green flame, leaving only sulfurous smoke. Jin-woo's shadows remained visible for a moment longer before he recalled them. His expression was neutral, but internally, his combat instincts screamed warnings. Shang Tsung wasn't just powerful. He was experienced, patient, and utterly ruthless. The kind of enemy who'd spent millennia perfecting betrayal. Sub-Zero stepped forward, his earlier hostility muted slightly. You resisted Shang Tsung's soul probe. Few can accomplish that. It requires either divine protection or power that rivals his own. The cryomancer's eyes held grudging respect. Perhaps you are not Quan Chi's pawn. Perhaps you're simply dangerous in your own right. Is that better? Jin-woo asked dryly. Marginally? Sub-Zero's expression might have been a smile under the mask. At least independent dangers can be reasoned with. Welcome to Mortal Kombat, Shadow Monarch. Try not to destroy any realms. The Grandmaster vanished in icy mist, Frost following with a final glare at Jin-woo. Sonya approached, her tactical mind clearly working through scenarios. That was either very brave or very stupid. Shang Tsung doesn't forget insults. Neither do I, Jin-woo replied. He tried to invade my mind. Where I come from, that's an execution-level offense. Where you come from, you could probably enforce that. Jax rumbled. Here? Shang Tsung's been playing political games since before human civilization existed. He'll come at you sideways, through allies, through tournament manipulation, through deals with other factions. Johnny clapped Jin-woo on the shoulder. Look at the bright side. You made an enemy of the realm's most dangerous sorcerer before the tournament even started. That's got to be some kind of record. Kitana studied Jin-woo thoughtfully. Shang Tsung's interest is dangerous, but his fear is more telling. He attempted soul analysis and failed completely. That suggests your power operates on principles he cannot comprehend. Her expression became calculating, which means every faction will now want to either recruit or eliminate you. The tournament has not even begun, and you've already become its most controversial participant. Jin-woo looked around the hall at warriors from a dozen realms, all now watching him with varying degrees of interest, suspicion, or hostility. The system updated continuously, flagging new threats, assessing power levels, calculating combat scenarios. This was supposed to be a dungeon raid, a simple emergency quest. Instead, he'd walked into a multidimensional political nightmare where death was negotiable, alliances were temporary, and one tournament could determine whether entire realms lived or died. But he'd faced worse odds before. "When does the tournament actually start?" Jin-woo asked. Kung Lao answered, his expression serious. "Tomorrow at dawn. First match will be announced then." He paused. Traditionally, Shang Tsung arranges the brackets to maximize drama and death. Given his interest in you, expect your first fight to be against someone particularly dangerous. He'll want to test you immediately. Or eliminate you, Sonya added grimly. First-round deaths aren't uncommon when Shang Tsung sees a threat. Jin-woo's hand rested on his dagger hilts, feeling their familiar weight. Tomorrow, he'd step into an arena where gods fought mortals, where 10,000-year-old assassins killed with fans, where death was just an inconvenience before resurrection. He'd been the weakest hunter, then the strongest, then a monarch who commanded millions. Now he'd prove he could be a champion in a tournament that decided the fate of dimensions. "Let him send whoever he wants," Jin-woo said quietly. "I'll be ready." Dawn broke over Shang Tsung's island with blood-red light filtering through volcanic clouds. Jin-woo stood on a stone balcony overlooking the tournament arena. A massive circular platform surrounded by razor-sharp spikes, flaming braziers, and statuary depicting warriors in various states of dismemberment. The architecture seemed designed to remind fighters that death waited eagerly for any mistake. The system had prevented sleep, not through malfunction, but through continuous combat analysis and threat assessment. Every warrior on this island registered as extreme danger. Even the weaker participants, fighters like Johnny Cage at level 76, possessed abilities that could genuinely threaten Jin-woo if he made tactical errors. Tournament brackets announced. First match, Sung Jin-woo vs. Baraka. Baraka, Tarkatan Warlord, level 78. Blade arms, biological weapons. Enhanced durability, regeneration, savage combat style. Threat assessment, high. Warning, Outworld champion. Victory will anger Shao Kahn. Jin-woo's eyes narrowed as he read the system's analysis. Of course, Shang Tsung would pit him against an Outworld warrior immediately. It forced Jin-woo to make enemies regardless of outcome. Defeat Baraka and earn Shao Kahn's ire. Lose and prove himself unworthy of the sorcerer's interest. Political maneuvering disguised as random bracket selection. "Typical opening move," a voice said from behind him. Liu Kang materialized in gentle flames, his divine presence muted but still palpable. The fire god joined Jin-woo at the balcony railing, looking out over the arena. Shang Tsung always arranges first matches to establish hierarchy and create conflict. Your opponent, Baraka, continue 17. This is Shao Kahn's enforcer. Loyal, brutal, and utterly without mercy. He's killed hundreds in the arena. The system rates him level 78, Jin-woo observed. Dangerous, but manageable. Levels. Liu Kang's expression was thoughtful. Your system quantifies power numerically. Interesting. But numbers cannot capture everything, Jin-woo. Baraka has fought for centuries. His entire species is bred for warfare. He will not hesitate, will not show mercy, will not stop until you are dead, or he is. Combat experience sometimes matters more than raw power. I've fought experienced enemies before. Have you fought one who regenerates from wounds that would kill ordinary beings? Who can extend blade arms from his flesh instantly? Who views combat not as contest, but as religious calling? Liu Kang's eyes glowed softly. Baraka serves Shao Kahn with fanatic loyalty. To him, killing you is both duty and pleasure. Jin-woo considered this. In his world, he'd faced monsters with regeneration, enemies who lived for combat, opponents whose entire existence centered on killing hunters. But those had been monsters, creatures of instinct and hunger. Baraka was a warrior with strategy, experience, and apparently the backing of a dimensional emperor. The tournament rules, Jin-woo said. No shadow army during official matches. But what about strategic shadow use? The system suggests creating weapons, teleportation, defensive constructs. All permitted, Liu Kang confirmed. Shadow manipulation is your personal ability. Only fielding your legion violates sacred law. Think of it as similar to how Scorpion can summon Hellfire or Sub-Zero creates ice weapons, extensions of self rather than external forces. The fire god paused. But you should know, the finish him moment approaches faster than you might expect. When Baraka falls, if Baraka falls, you will have seconds to decide his fate. That choice will define how every realm perceives you. If I extract his shadow, does that count as death? That, Liu Kang said carefully, is what everyone wants to know. Your technique exists outside our conventional understanding. If you extract Baraka's shadow and his body dies, that's clearly a fatality. But if his body lives while his shadow serves you, the fire god's expression became troubled. That might be worse than death. To exist without your shadow, your combat essence, your warrior spirit serving another. Some might consider that a fate crueler than any fatality. Jin-woo had never considered it from that angle. In his world, shadow extraction happened to defeated monsters and enemies who tried to kill him. There was no moral ambiguity. Victor claimed the spoils, the strong ruled the weak. But here, in a universe where honor mattered and warriors had factions, families, purposes beyond mere survival. The system chimed. Quest update, Mortal Kombat, first match. Objective, defeat Baraka. Optional objective, demonstrate power without creating excessive enemies. Optional objective, maintain Shadow Monarch reputation. Reward, tournament advancement, faction reputation changes, potential shadow extraction. Failure, death, dimensional ejection, or worse, or worse. Jin-woo's lip twitched slightly. Even the system acknowledged that in this universe, death might not be the worst outcome. Jin-woo. Liu Kang's voice carried the weight of divine authority and genuine concern. I have witnessed countless timelines, fought in innumerable tournaments, seen warriors make every choice imaginable at the finish him moment. My advice: let your first victory define your path, but do not let it trap you. Show mercy, earn respect, but risk appearing weak. Show brutality, earn fear, but make permanent enemies. The balance is... He trailed off. There is no balance, only consequences. Before Jin-woo could respond, thunder cracked and Raiden appeared in a flash of lightning. The tournament begins in 1 hour. The Thunder God announced. All participants must gather in the arena. Jin-woo, as a first-time competitor, I must explain additional rules. Raiden's expression was grave. Once you enter the arena for your match, Dimensional travel is sealed. You cannot flee through portals, cannot escape to your home realm, cannot call for external assistance. The combat is absolute. Victory, surrender, or death. Those are your only exits. Jin-woo nodded. He'd expected as much. Sacred combat wouldn't mean much if participants could just run away. Additionally, Raiden continued, weapons are permitted, but only those you bring yourself. No one may lend you equipment during the match. Your daggers, your shadows, your monarch abilities, all acceptable. But if you lose your weapons during combat, you cannot acquire replacements until the match ends. Understood. Finally, Raiden's eyes blazed white. The Elder Gods watch every tournament match. They enforce the rules absolutely. If you violate sacred law, summon your legion, receive external aid, refuse to fight. Their judgment is immediate and final. I have seen warriors erased from existence for defying tournament sanctity. Do not test their patience. The system flagged this as critical information. Warning: Elder Gods monitoring. Threat level: absolute violation of tournament rules. Lacks immediate termination. Recommendation: follow all protocols. Jin-woo felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. The system, which had guided him through every impossible situation, which had turned him from weakest to strongest, was warning him that forces existed in this universe beyond even its ability to protect him. The Elder Gods weren't dungeon bosses to be defeated. They were the universe's administrators, and they had no mercy for rule breakers. I'll follow the rules, Jin-woo said quietly. Good. Raiden's expression softened slightly. Then let me offer tactical advice. Baraka will try to intimidate you with his appearance and savagery. Do not let him. He is a warrior, not a monster, despite what his Tarkatan physiology suggests. Respect him as you would any dangerous opponent, and he will respect you in turn, even as he tries to kill you. Respect through combat, Jin-woo murmured, understanding. That's the foundation of Mortal Kombat, isn't it? Not just the tournament, but the entire philosophy. Warriors prove their worth through fighting, and even enemies can honor each other if the combat is genuine. Liu Kang smiled slightly. You learn quickly, yes. That is the heart of it. Power matters. But how you wield that power, how you face death, how you treat defeated opponents, these things define a warrior's legacy more than victory counts. The three of them stood in silence for a moment, watching the sun fully rise over the arena. Slowly, warriors began emerging from their quarters. Earthrealm champions, Outworld soldiers, Netherrealm revenants, assassins from a dozen realms, all converging on the central platform where blood would be spilled and legends made or destroyed. Jin-woo saw Johnny Cage stretching dramatically, Sonya running tactical assessments with Jax, Sub-Zero meditating in perfect stillness, while Frost performed aggressive combat drills. Kitana spoke with a dark-skinned woman, whose twin Sai daggers marked her as another skilled fighter. In the shadows, Scorpion watched everything with burning eyes, while a figure composed of thousands of souls, Ermac, hovered ominously. And there, near Shang Tsung's throne, stood Baraka. The Tarkatan was exactly as terrifying as the system suggested. Easily 2 meters tall, heavily muscled, with yellowish skin and a mouth full of razor teeth. His arms ended in long bone blades that extended from his flesh, biological weapons that looked capable of shearing through steel. Orange eyes fixed on Jin-woo across the distance, and even from here, Jin-woo could see the anticipation in that gaze. Baraka lived for this, for combat, for the chance to kill. Target locked, Baraka. Analyzing combat patterns. Prediction: aggressive close quarters style. Weakness, limited ranged options. Weakness relies on intimidation and savage attacks. Recommendation, maintain distance, use shadow manipulation for control. Alternative, close combat to demonstrate superior skill. Jin-woo's tactical mind was already formulating strategies. Baraka was dangerous in melee range, but predictable. The system's analysis suggested maintaining distance and using shadow weapons for ranged advantage. But that would look cautious, defensive. In a tournament that valued warriors' honor and direct combat, playing it safe might earn victory, but lose respect. "You're analyzing him," Liu Kang observed. "Good. But remember, Baraka has analyzed you as well. He knows you command shadows, knows you defeated dimensional barriers to arrive here, knows Shang Tsung fears you. He'll come prepared to counter shadow manipulation. Then I won't rely only on shadows. No?" Raiden's expression held approval. "What will you rely on?" Jin-woo drew one of his daggers, the Demon King's longsword, though it appeared as a dagger in his grip, perfectly balanced and humming with power. "I became the Shadow Monarch by defeating monarchs in single combat. Before I commanded legions, I fought alone against impossible odds." "Baraka wants a warrior's duel?" His gray eyes hardened. "I'll give him one." The system chimed approvingly. Combat approach selected, direct engagement, analyzing optimal strategy. Warning, high risk, high reward. Faction reputation gains significant if successful. A gong rang across the island, deep, resonant, undeniable. The tournament was beginning. Shang Tsung appeared on his throne in a burst of green flame, spreading his arms wide. "Welcome, warriors, to Mortal Kombat. Oji, for 10,000 years, this sacred tournament has determined the fate of realms. Today, we begin a new chapter." His ancient eyes found Jin-woo. "Our first match features a newcomer, one who claims the title of Shadow Monarch, who commands death itself, who defied dimensional barriers to stand before us." The crowd of warriors turned to stare at Jin-woo. Some expressions held curiosity, others hostility. A few showed cautious respect. "He will face Baraka," Shang Tsung continued, gesturing to the Tarkatan. "Warlord of the Tarkata, champion of Outworld, who has claimed 237 victories in this arena. Let us see if Shadow can overcome Blade, if Death's monarch can defeat Death's deliverer." Baraka roared, a sound of pure, savage anticipation, and extended his blade arms fully. The bones gleamed in the red sunlight, each edge sharp enough to bisect a person with a casual swing. "Combatants, enter the arena." Jin-woo walked forward, his shadows swirling around his feet. With each step, his focus narrowed, his combat instincts sharpening. The system continued its analysis, but Jin-woo pushed it to the background. Numbers and statistics mattered, but in the end, combat was about will, skill, and the determination to stand when everything screamed to fall. He'd learned that as the weakest hunter, facing gates that should have killed him. He'd proven it as the strongest, defeating monarchs who'd ruled dimensions. Now he'd demonstrated in Mortal Kombat. Baraka entered from the opposite side, his movements predatory and confident. The Tarkatan had killed hundreds. Jin-woo had killed thousands. But this wasn't about body counts. It was about proving he belonged in this tournament, in this universe where warriors shape the fate of realms through individual combat. They faced each other across the arena, 10 meters apart. Shang Tsung's voice carried absolute authority. "This is Mortal Kombat. There are no rules save one. The match ends when one combatant surrenders, dies, or cannot continue. Fighters..." His smile was cruel. "Begin." Baraka didn't hesitate. The Tarkatan charged with terrifying speed, blade arms extended, a roar of bloodlust tearing from his fanged mouth. The system calculated trajectory, predicted attack patterns, suggested optimal counters. But Jin-woo ignored it all. He drew both daggers and rushed forward to meet Baraka head-on. The clash of blade against blade rang across the arena like thunder, and the tournament's first blood was about to be spilled. The impact of their first exchange sent shockwaves through the arena. Baraka's blade arms struck with force that could shatter stone, but Jin-woo's daggers met them perfectly. Angled deflections that redirected momentum rather than absorbing it directly. The Tarkatan's eyes widened fractionally. He'd expected the Shadow Monarch to dodge, to use shadow manipulation, to fight from distance like a sorcerer. Instead, Jin-woo fought like a warrior. Baraka spun, blade arms whirling in a devastating combination. High slash, low sweep, horizontal cut designed to disembowel. Each strike was lethal, honed through centuries of killing. But Jin-woo moved like water, flowing between the attacks with minimal wasted motion. His gray eyes tracked every movement with hunter's precision. Combat experience, allowing him to read Baraka's intentions microseconds before execution. Analyzing combat patterns. Baraka combat style. Aggressive, relentless, overwhelming offense. Prediction, accuracy, 87%. Openings detected. Left side, guard drops 0.3 seconds after triple strike. Jin-woo saw it. Baraka's pattern, 3 rapid slashes, followed by a brief moment where his left blade arm retracted slightly for the next combination. A tiny window, barely exploitable, but enough. The Tarkatan came in with the predicted triple strike. Jin-woo parried the first 2. Then instead of blocking the third, he stepped inside Baraka's guard. His dagger flashed, scoring a line across the Tarkatan's ribs. First blood. Baraka roared, not in pain, but in approval. Orange eyes blazed with combat joy as he saw his own blood on Jin-woo's blade. Yes, you fight like warrior, not coward sorcerer. Baraka will enjoy killing you. The Tarkatan's attacks intensified, no longer testing but genuinely trying to end the fight. His blade arms became a storm of cutting edges, each strike powerful enough to sever limbs. Jin-woo gave ground, defensive now, reading patterns while the system tracked damage vectors and calculated survival odds. But Baraka wasn't just physically powerful, he was experienced. The Tarkatan feinted high, and when Jin-woo committed to the block, reversed into a low sweep that caught Jin-woo's leg. Not deep, the dagger had deflected most of the force, but enough to draw blood and prove that Baraka could hit him. Good, Jin-woo said quietly, and Baraka's eyes narrowed at the calmness in his tone. No fear, no shock, just assessment. Jin-woo's shadows exploded outward, not as an army that would violate tournament rules, but as extensions of his will. Shadow tendrils erupted from the arena floor, not to attack, but to control space. They forced Baraka to adjust his footing, to account for environmental hazards that hadn't existed moments before. The Tarkatan slashed through the shadows easily. They weren't solid enough to stop his blade arms, but they disrupted his rhythm, made him think defensively for the first time. Jin-woo pressed the advantage. He came in fast, daggers working in perfect coordination. High feint, actual attack to the torso, shadow tendrils sweeping Baraka's ankle simultaneously. The Tarkatan blocked the daggers, but stumbled on the shadow, and Jin-woo's knee caught him in the ribs where the first cut had landed. Baraka grunted, actual pain this time, and brought both blade arms down in a devastating overhead strike. Jin-woo rolled aside, the blades carving foot-deep gouges in the stone platform. Before Baraka could recover, Jin-woo's shadow formed a blade. Solid darkness shaped by monarch authority, and he drove it into the Tarkatan's shoulder. The shadow weapon pierced flesh, pinning Baraka's arm momentarily. The Tarkatan roared and flexed, shattering the shadow construct through pure strength. But it had cost him time. Jin-woo's dagger found his thigh, cutting deep into muscle. Baraka stumbled, limping now. But instead of fear or desperation, his expression showed only greater excitement. Yes, strong opponent, worthy opponent. The Tarkatan's wounds were already closing, that regeneration the system had warned about. Not instant, but fast enough to matter in extended combat. Baraka has not bled this much in 50 combats. You honor the arena, Shadow Monarch. Jin-woo's respect for Baraka increased despite himself. This was a warrior who lived for combat, who found joy in facing worthy opponents even as death approached. No schemes, no manipulation, just pure martial spirit. But respect didn't mean mercy. Jin-woo's shadows gathered around him, forming a cloak of living darkness. The system suggested multiple strategies, but Jin-woo had already decided his approach. Baraka wanted a warrior's duel? He'd give him the full measure of Shadow Monarch combat. Arise, Jin-woo commanded, and from his shadow emerged a single figure, Igris, his most skilled soldier. The Black Knight materialized with sword drawn, purple eyes blazing. The arena erupted in shocked murmurs. Raiden's lightning crackled warningly. Jin-woo! The Thunder God's voice boomed. You violate tournament law. No army support during... He's not army support. Jin-woo interrupted, his voice carrying across the arena. He's an extension of my combat style, a weapon made manifest. Jin-woo met Raiden's glowing eyes directly. Scorpion summons hellfire. Sub-Zero creates ice constructs. I manifest shadows as fighters. If that violates your rules, disqualify me now. Silence. Liu Kang and Raiden exchanged glances. Technically, Jin-woo was right. If shadow manifestation was his personal ability, just expressed differently than elemental manipulation, then one soldier could be considered a combat technique rather than external assistance. Shang Tsung's laugh broke the tension. How delightfully creative. The Shadow Monarch interprets tournament law to his advantage. I see no violation. If the Elder Gods disagree, let them intervene. The sorcerer's eyes gleamed. Continue. Baraka's expression showed no anger at this. Development. Only anticipation. 2 opponents? Good. Baraka will kill both. The Tarkatan charged, and the combat evolved. Igris moved with Jin-woo in perfect synchronization, not as a separate fighter, but as an extension of Jin-woo's tactical mind. When Baraka focused on Jin-woo, Igris struck from the blind spot. When the Tarkatan turned to face Igris, Jin-woo's daggers found openings. They didn't swarm or overwhelm. They fought with coordinated precision that demonstrated mastery rather than numerical advantage. Baraka's regeneration worked over time, closing wounds even as new ones appeared. But the accumulated damage was taking a toll. His movement slowed fractionally, his blade arms striking with slightly less force. The Tarkatan was losing, and everyone watching knew it. But Baraka wasn't finished. With a roar that shook the arena, the Tarkatan warrior's muscles bulged, his blade arms extending even further. His eyes blazed orange with berserker fury, and when he moved, it was with the desperate speed of a cornered predator making its final stand. Warning: Baraka entering rage state. Danger level increased. Recommendation: defensive posture. But Jin-woo knew that retreating now would insult Baraka's warrior pride. So instead, he dismissed Igris back into his shadow and raised his daggers in a formal combat stance. One-on-one, Jin-woo said clearly. Warrior to warrior, let's finish this. Baraka's berserker rage flickered with something like gratitude. Yes, honorable. You understand combat, Shadow Monarch. When Baraka falls, he falls with honor. They charged simultaneously. The exchange was brutal, elegant, and absolute. Baraka's blade arms moved faster than before, fueled by desperation and battle joy. Jin-woo's daggers met each strike, his enhanced reflexes and combat experience allowing him to match the Tarkatan's berserker fury with cold precision. Shadow tendrils provided environmental control while his blades did the killing work. Baraka landed a solid hit, his blade arm slashing across Jin-woo's ribs, drawing blood and sending pain lancing through his torso. But Jin-woo had positioned himself deliberately, accepting the wound to create an opening. His counter-strike drove both daggers into Baraka's torso, piercing through muscle and finding vital organs. The Tarkatan stumbled backward, blood pouring from the massive wounds. His regeneration struggled to close injuries this severe. Baraka dropped to one knee, blade arms braced against the arena floor to keep himself upright. Jin-woo stood 3 meters away, his own wound already beginning to heal through monarch physiology. Blood stained both warriors, proving the combat had been genuine. The arena fell silent. Then Shang Tsung's voice rang out, carrying cruel satisfaction. Finish him! Jin-woo's hand tightened on his dagger hilts as every eye in the arena fixed on him. This was the moment Liu Kang had warned about, the choice that would define how every realm perceived him. Baraka looked up, orange eyes still blazing with warrior's pride despite his mortal wounds. Do it, Shadow Monarch. You won with honor. Baraka falls with honor. This is good death. The system presented options. Fatality choice available. Option 1. Execute, perform fatality, demonstrate power, earn fear. Option 2. Mercy, spare Baraka, earn respect but possible weakness perception. Option 3. Shadow extraction, unknown consequences. Recommendation, choose based on desired faction relationships. Jin-woo walked forward slowly, shadows swirling around his feet. The arena held its breath. Shao Kahn leaned forward on his throne, massive hands gripping his warhammer. Shang Tsung watched with predatory interest. Raiden and Liu Kang observed with divine concern. The Earthrealm champions tensed, uncertain what to expect. Jin-woo stopped directly in front of Baraka and extended his hand. You fought with honor, Baraka. Lived as a warrior, nearly killed me as a warrior. That deserves respect, not execution. His gray eyes met the Tarkatan's orange gaze. Stand. Your wounds will heal. We'll fight again someday, and maybe then you'll win. Baraka stared at the offered hand in genuine shock. Around the arena, murmurs erupted, confusion, surprise, approval, disappointment. Baraka's regeneration was already working on his wounds, but it would take minutes before he could stand on his own. The Tarkatan's expression twisted through multiple emotions. Pride at being respected, shame at accepting mercy, gratitude for being allowed to live. And underneath it all, warriors' understanding that mercy could be its own kind of strength. Baraka gripped Jin-woo's hand with his blade arm carefully angled away, allowing the Shadow Monarch to help him stand. When he was upright, the Tarkatan spoke loud enough for all to hear. Shadow Monarch shows mercy. Baraka lives with debt of honor. He met Jin-woo's eyes. You could have taken Baraka's shadow, made slave of warrior. Instead, you grant life. This, Baraka will remember. He paused. Next time we fight, Baraka will not lose. I'm counting on it. Shang Tsung's voice carried displeasure and fascination. Mercy. The Shadow Monarch shows mercy. How? Unexpected. Shao Kahn's booming voice echoed across the arena. Baraka, you are defeated but live. Return to Outworld's ranks. This mercy will be. Considered. The massive emperor's tone suggested he hadn't decided whether Jin-woo's choice was wise or foolish. But he hadn't condemned it outright, which was something. Raiden appeared beside Jin-woo in a flash of lightning as arena guards helped Baraka exit the platform. That was a dangerous choice. Mercy can be interpreted as weakness by some factions. Or as confidence, Liu Kang countered, materializing in flames. Jin-woo demonstrated complete control. He could have killed Baraka easily in those final moments, could have extracted his shadow, but chose restraint. That requires more strength than brutality. Jin-woo just nodded, feeling the wound in his ribs still healing. The system had flagged his choice. Faction reputation changes. Earthrealm, Psi-15 respect. Outworld, Psi-5 respect, Baraka, Psi-verse caution, Shao Kahn. Netherrealm, 5 interest, perceived softness. Lin Kuei, Sen, honor recognition. Shirai Rice, Sen, warriors respect. Shang Tsung, 20 interest, tactical acumen. Johnny Cage vaulted into the arena, grinning widely. Okay, officially the coolest first tournament performance I've ever seen. You coordinated with your shadow soldier like a tag team, went toe-to-toe with a berserker Tarkatan, and then showed mercy? That's protagonist energy right there. Sonya approached more carefully, her tactical assessment complete. You proved you can win. Smart. Killing Baraka would have made Outworld an immediate enemy. This way, you've earned breathing room while everyone figures out what you represent. Sub-Zero appeared in icy mist. You chose honor over easy victory. The Lin Kuei recognized this. Perhaps we misjudged you, Shadow Monarch. But it was Scorpion's appearance that made Jin-woo's danger sense spike. The Spectre materialized in hellfire, his burning eyes fixed on Jin-woo with new intensity. You showed mercy to a warrior who gave you honorable combat, Scorpion said, his voice carrying the crackle of flames. This is the way of true combatants, not the path of sorcerers who treat warriors as tools. His eyes blazed brighter. When we face each other, Shadow Monarch, it will be glorious. For you understand what I understand, that death is not the end, but how we face it defines us. Jin-woo met the Spectre's burning gaze. I look forward to it. Scorpion vanished as abruptly as he'd appeared, but Jin-woo felt the weight of that exchange. He'd just earned the respect of a being who died, returned from hell, and spent centuries pursuing vengeance. That wasn't a small thing in this universe. Shang Tsung's voice carried across the arena, announcing the next match. But Jin-woo barely heard it. He was processing what had just happened. Not just the combat, but the political and social implications. He'd entered Mortal Kombat expecting a tournament. What he'd found was something far more complex. A stage where every choice rippled across dimensions, where mercy and brutality both carried consequences, where reputation mattered as much as victory. The system chimed. Quest progress. Mortal Kombat. First match complete. Victory achieved. Optional objective complete. Maintained Shadow Monarch reputation. Optional objective complete. Avoided excessive enemy creation. Reward, tournament advancement, multi-faction respect. New quest available, survive tournament bracket. Warning, Shang Tsung's interest increased significantly. Warning, Quan Chi requesting audience. Jin-woo's eyes narrowed at that last line. Quan Chi, the Netherrealm's master sorcerer, the being Sub-Zero had warned about, the rival necromancer Liu Kang had mentioned, and he wanted to meet. Jin-woo, Raiden said quietly, noticing his expression. If Quan Chi approaches you, be extremely careful. He is more dangerous than Shang Tsung in some ways, subtler, more patient, and his schemes span centuries. Whatever he offers, whatever he promises, remember, Quan Chi has betrayed everyone he's ever allied with. Noted. But as Jin-woo left the arena, his ribs fully healed and his shadows swirling contentedly around him, he couldn't shake the feeling that his first match had been the easy part. The tournament was just beginning, and in Mortal Kombat, the real danger wasn't the fights you saw coming. It was the schemes happening in the shadows.